Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association, Reasonable Doubt. Justin Harris, how you doing?
What are you doing?
Good. Rookie fail. Sorry.
I agree.
I'm good.
Yeah.
We're back.
Well, we go, what are you
Election.
doing? Hold on.
Election week.
Getting everybody all excited. Mr. Murray Newman, how are you doing, sir?
How's everybody?
Oh, good.
Good to be back. How are you guys?
Great. Look, we got the phone number up. Now, I want to tell everybody we're going to be controlling the calls because we got a lot of good stuff to get through. 713-807-1794 on the Twitter at HCCLA_.org. What's going on? It's been a minute. We have elections.
Yeah, that's the excitement. Big time excitement.
Let's get into it. What's some of the cutting news, Murray?
Well, like the big news is right now is apparently they're starting to go through the provisional ballots and count them. And Deshaun Jones in the 180th is not only not out of his race, he may actually there's actually a decent chance that he's going to prevail in that over Tammy Pierce for the 180th District Court.
What a race.
Yeah.
Everybody comes into court on Wednesday and, everybody's kind of sad-faced, but everybody also knows that these were slim margins this election. Slim margins.
Yeah, Deshaun's down by 165 votes right now on harrisvotes.com. That's the county website, not mine. And it's 50.01% to 49.99%. 531,000 votes between the two of them, a difference of 165.
And I think that there's roughly several thousand, I may have heard the number, don't quote me on this one, but like 8,000 votes that could still come in. And so, theoretically, they're going to be somewhat close in margin as they come in. Unless you've got some ballot box that comes in where it's 20-80% on one candidate, but that typically they stay within a ballpark of each other of what you've been seeing. And that's what happened. If you saw the early results come in, they didn't deviate too much. The margins started getting a little progressively wider with Democratic candidates that were ahead of the Republicans and the Republican candidates, and the Republican candidates who started out ahead, their leads became a little bit slimmer. But ultimately, there were some changes on the bench, and it's going to be an interesting day on January 1st.
Tammy Pierce.
There were some changes, but they're for the most part, the Democrats held off the attack on the Republicans. Texas didn't see that on statewide races, but we saw kind of a repeat of the non-red wave, and now calling it the red ripple, partly in Harris County. So we went from 16 judges in the county courts who are Democrats to we're going to have 3 Republicans and 15 were up for election. Interestingly, 2 of the ones that didn't have an incumbent running lost the primary. They switched to Democrat, and then switched to Republican.
Let's get to those
2. Judge Bowman lost as an incumbent to former Judge Goodhart.
Let's get to those Republicans. Before we get there, Tammy Pierce versus Deshaun Jones, that contest. Who is Tammy Pierce?
So she's apparently does more work out of county, I think, around like the San Jacinto, Polk County area. I think she actually may be a prosecutor there. I don't know if she is at this exact moment, but she's apparently been around a while. But she's a former police officer, narcotics officer, according to her website, her campaign website, who ran under the mantra of "Be Fierce with Pierce." Which is kind of, in my opinion, not exactly what you want a fierce judge.
A little more jail, a little less bail.
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
I'm not going to put the person in the grease who told me the story of a little more votes, a little less jokes in response to the
Wow.
bail and jail one. But
that's good. That's great. That's all.
There was that.
Okay, Deshaun Jones, was he targeted by that one commercial that actor portraying him? Was that a political target? How could it not be? He's the only guy that got that hit.
So, you know, if you go back and you look at the pandemic, he was the judge who right off the bat, before everything got really, really bad, everyone got mad at him in the media and the Crime Stoppers, because I think there was a guy that was in for, I think it was murder. It may have been another serious offense, who just said, I don't want to be in the jail. I'm scared of getting COVID. And he gave him a PR bond. And so that was kind of the first domino that had a lot of people showing some outrage towards him. But, you know, I thought it was, you know, I mean, he could have been a little bit tighter on it, but you know, it was the beginning of COVID. We were all going to die. I mean, I packed up and moved out of the city. So, you know, but I do think that they did use him as a lightning rod because of that, and because of some other cases. You know, I mean, a large portion, excuse me, of the judges had somebody come back with a murder while out on bond for something serious. And it was just the law of averages. If anybody skated, I don't know who it was. They didn't have somebody mess up while on bond.
Breaking bond. I mean, that thing was huge.
And right. And so, you know, I just don't see, you know, I don't know why Deshaun got himself his own commercial, but he sure did.
He sure did.
And
look, that actor that portrayed him was ugly. Okay, let's get into the Republican wins. And so Justin had talked about there were some. It wasn't the Republican wave, and the Democrats actually did lose. There were some cracks in their wall. Yeah. Let's talk about some of the Republicans that took some benches and how they got there. Go ahead.
So I think that the big deal here was what you had to look at. What the Republicans really banked on was the race against Mueller versus Hidalgo, and they pumped so much money into it, thinking it would drive Republicans to the poll, and then they coupled it with this "a judge wants to murder you" campaign that they had going on, and they really thought that it would work. And
she was an incredible candidate, impeccable.
I was worried. I mean, I thought that it was going to work, and my position on it was just kind of like, look, if you want to vote Republican, go knock yourself out, but don't call these judges who are good people that are just following the law like some evil or dumb or don't care about what's going on at the courthouse. People, you're slandering really good people.
Well, what does that say about Harris County, though? Is it blue now?
I think it's pretty blue now, because
I think the candidates who prevailed should see this, especially in the face of such a staunch campaign to just put the foot of every murder at their feet, at the judges' feet. I mean, Wayne Dolcefino, Mattress Mac,
Randy
Dave
Wallace,
Ward coming out, all of them coming out, and like the Salt Seven. If Deshaun doesn't go down, then they will have not touched a single one of the judges that they went after. And I think in the face of that campaign, the judges in Harris County should see this as a mandate to continue doing what they have been doing, which is largely following the law.
Well, now
the policies that are enacted from the bail reform stuff.
Now the Republican judges that are in, at least on the misdemeanor side, which let's get to them, are going to have to follow the orders that have from federal court, additionally the local rules, additionally all the things that have been adopted over the last four years, really, and they're going to have to abide by them. And now what are they going to say when they can't hold people at no bond, or when they can't do the things that they used to do? Or let's talk about it. Who are the ones? Okay, we'll go misdemeanor court.
You're gonna misdemeanor. Hang on, let me switch over. I'm looking at my blog so I can see like who was on there. All right, so we're going to start with the county court race.
Let's go.
And here's the thing that I think that's really interesting for people, that maybe don't always pay attention to how elections go, that, Court 16 is a relatively new court, and it's the one and only county court race that wasn't on the ballot during the gubernatorial year. And historically, the gubernatorial year was always good for Republicans up until you had Cruz versus Beto O'Rourke 4 years ago. And even when there was the blue wave in 2008, when Obama came in, in 2010, it was still a mixed bag. And there were still plenty of Republicans that held on. You had some retake the bench in 12, and then in 14 it was fine, but there was so much energy behind the original Beto campaign that people kind of took for granted and said, oh, it's a blue county, without realizing that was a really exciting race. And this one was not. It was not nearly as exciting.
Do you think at least locally everybody was just kind of holding their tongue? There was a lot of fanfare on the last election. There was there was parties. There were a ton of fanfare. This time around, everybody just kind of went home, closed their mouth, and prayed.
I think that this one really centered around Mueller and Hidalgo,
right?
And the judges as a whole. And so, I mean, I hate to be the person that says this, but I think that if the Democratic, I don't want to jinx it, is why I hate to say it, but I think that if the Democratic judges for the most part prevailed like they did, I think you can firmly say during a gubernatorial year, because I think you say we're a blue county. I mean, if you weren't already, you definitely can now, because I don't see anything different, unless, something just wildly outrageous happens between now and 2024, it's going to be blue again for Harris County then. And if they couldn't win it this time, I don't know what else they throw at it to try to change it.
She was a Harvard grad, Harvard Law, used to be like a bomb expert, mother, family, veteran, finance, or did something with, just if they couldn't win with that.
Huge money they poured into it too.
Like they put a lot of money into that.
$10 million. My joke is that Mattress Mac actually bet $10 million on Hidalgo to even it out his losses.
Hey, he's a smart guy. Hey, don't mess with him, bro. Don't mess with him though. Okay, look. Let's go.
He can sell mattresses and furniture, and he can pump money into the Republican Party, but he needs to stop trying to meddle in things that he doesn't know anything about. Not since the 80s when he had his cocaine problem and he was getting arrested for cocaine possession. But
let's get to the election, please. Can we get to the election?
Come down and see what it's really like. I'll give him a tour, but don't meddle in stuff and try to scare Harris County voters into voting against good people. The primary already lost us good
Mark,
judges. Judge Singer, Judge Anastasio.
Facebook audio's down. Facebook's audio's down, Mark. Facebook's audio's down. Continue, Justin.
The voters need to be informed and not vote based on fear. And I'm really glad the results that we had that came out, because if they were anything else, they were going to be based on just nonsense and fear. That voting for Republicans reduced crime as far as the judges go. Judges are neutral arbiters of the law. They impose the law as it's written. So their sworn duty is, and the law says in certain cases you give people a bond of this amount or this amount. And the campaign that was going on, I'm glad was not successful. And I think that the fact that the Democrats prevailed as well as they did shows that, I agree with what Murray's saying, that it's hard to say Harris County is not blue now.
So let's go for it.
So let's talk about this. And here's one thing that we didn't mention, and we hadn't really talked about that just kind of occurred to me, is let's also, as we go through this, look at the people that Kim Ahlgren. Because she, so if we start with the county courts, Judge Salgado prevailed and was reelected over a candidate.
Little more jail, little less bail.
Nathan Moss. County Court 2 is one of the ones where former Judge Paula Goodhart, did beat the incumbent Judge Bowman.
What do you think about that race?
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Goodhart. I'm okay with her.
That's one of the bigger margins, and then it flipped.
It did flip, and there's been some conversation. There's been some conversation about people that had names that might have been perceived as being a different race than the person in the voting booth, having an effect. I don't know. I don't really. I hope that's not the case, but you don't know what people do when they get to vote anonymously.
Paula versus Renisha.
Well,
yeah.
okay. I mean, well, then
you have in court 3, which was an open. Wasn't open. Judge Hughes was tapped.
Well, it was open, yeah, because nobody was running. But you had Leslie Johnson beating Portia Brown.
Who's Leslie Johnson? Do we know her?
She's ran as a Republican.
We do. She is, you probably know her husband, Dane Johnson.
Oh, snap. Yeah, I know. Okay, pardon.
Because I think he's been around a little bit longer, and you tend to see him more frequently. I don't, but no, she's a defense attorney in her own right. I don't see her as frequently as I see Dane.
That's great. I'm okay with that.
Dane was married to a Republican.
I'm okay. Well, Dane runs as a Republican, though, didn't he?
Yeah, Dane was gonna run. Yeah, Dane was gonna run. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you had Judge Shannon Baldwin prevailed over Zachary Gibson, who was another DA, assistant DA that was running.
Yep.
Then you had
Judge Baldwin's one of the smartest judges in that building. Like,
I love
very, very, very intelligent.
I love her
very
so
methodical.
Much. Yeah, she's a great judge.
Harris County did itself a service by reelecting
her. Then you had my buddy Judge Dave Fleischer, who beat another candidate from the DA's office.
Who was it?
Liz Buss, and Liz is a great lady. I like Liz a lot.
Yeah, sure.
I love Judge Fleischer. I hope that he can relax now.
Judge Fleischer,
very tense.
He was a little tied up.
And,
he's awesome. Hey, do we think that because that race was close, did it widen out, or is he going to be affected by
a little bit? Yeah, I think that the new votes coming in, at least the preliminary ones, seem to be benefiting Democratic candidates. He is ahead by at least 3,000
over
votes.
25.
Yeah, or right around there. But I love Judge Fleischer. He cracks me up. I had somebody one time in the blog comments criticize him for wearing a hat. He got him a fedora. He got himself a fedora that he was wearing. I thought it looked fine, and he was wearing it. He was just being his own best judge now. And so somebody makes some snarky comment about it, and 3 weeks go by, and all of a sudden I get a text message from Judge Fleischer I like my hat. He hadn't seen the comment, and he was upset to see that. But I love him. So.
Judge Fleischer is going to be one of those guys that stays on the bench and owns Court 5 for the next 30 years, man. Watch him. I promise.
I see that too.
He's great.
I see him being on there for a while.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be bad either. That would not be bad either.
Yeah. So then we have Kelly Andrews.
Kelly.
This Mark Montgomery guy, I did not recognize him, but apparently he was a Houston Police Department lieutenant. Who I had to go look up some of these folks on the bar website, and he's listed. How it says all the different areas of law that you practice, and one of them was not criminal, which bugs me. But apparently he was just let a police officer step in and we'll show you how to do this.
That's like your state bar profile. It says oil and gas, bankruptcy, probate. Murray Newman doesn't list anything about criminal.
Yeah, no, mine just says divorce is personal, but and that's it.
Seven.
Then you have the battle of the hairdos with Judge Andrew Wright versus Mike Monks.
Andrew, Monks is a great. Monks would have been.
Everybody loves Monks.
Everybody loves Monks.
We
man.
messed up by not having them both on the show.
Yeah,
it was. I guess it wouldn't be very good to have them on after the election, right? But that would have been a great show.
Look, Andrew. Hats off to Andrew, Judge Wright. Andrew. He's a great judge. A lot of people are afraid of Court 7 or this and that. Monks was going to kind of clean it up and do the Monks charm and do everything. Man, either one would have been amazing, but Andrew, hats off to you, man.
Well, and I said, you should have him on the show because it would look like the bassist for the Oak Ridge Boys and the lead singer of Midnight Oil. So moving on. So moving on to Court 8, where you had two of Kim Ogg's candidates running against each other.
Yeah,
Erica Ramirez
lose in that one, right?
Erica Ramirez, who I love, and Mark Goldberg, who I definitely do not love. I was glad to see that Erica prevailed in that.
Erica's always been a stand-up prosecutor. I think it's definitely gonna it's a change for Court 8. That's for sure.
Most definitely.
And she's good lawyer. Always been above bar. She's smart.
Agreed.
I think she's gonna be a good judge.
That was one of the biggest margins. Looking at this.
Yeah.
Actually.
It's pretty big. I think the biggest margin actually ended up being Andy Beal over Chris Carmona.
Yeah.
But
that doesn't surprise me because anything Andy does, it's like she kills it. It's like, gee, and quite frankly, the district attorney's office is losing a keystone of their trial team. I mean, she's going to take it to the bench and do great things. But gosh, that's going to be a good court to practice in.
All right, so let's wrap up county court.
Yeah.
Victoria Finch defeated Sartaj Ball, who I don't know him at all.
I don't know him either.
No. Judge Finch has been one of the more popular judges because she's just so freaking nice. Honestly, one of the nicest human beings I've ever met in my entire life, and I was very, very glad to see her prevail in that. Court 10 was Juanita Jackson. A very young, vibrant defense attorney running against former judge of Court 10, Dan Spute, who I never practiced in front of him. I don't even know that I ever met him. I never heard anything bad about him.
Dan was nice to practice in front of. He's a former police officer. I was not sure what to expect when he won 2014, but I liked practicing in front of him.
He's above board, treats everybody fair. He listens. I think it might have been because nobody knew him around the courthouse, and he's coming in. Mm-hmm. People had kind of prejudgments about how he's going to rule, but he ended up turning out to be really, really good. But
his wife is.
He's the brother of the sister of Judge Boole. I think that's right.
But that's right. He's brother of the sister. No,
anyway.
Hats off to Juanita though. Juanita's gonna be awesome.
That's gonna I'm saying nice things about Judge Spute, but I have more nice things to say about soon to be Judge Jackson for sure. That's gonna be a great court.
So Court 11, we had Judge Cedric Walker fighting off Dan Simons.
Wasn't that close?
I don't know.
12,000 votes.
Not particularly. Dan Simons had gotten the Republican nomination for Court 8, I think, in the last go round after knocking off Carahan in the primary.
Dan's gonna win something.
That was an ugly primary. Y'all remember that?
Dan's gonna win something somewhere. Mark my words, Dan's gonna win something, dude.
I'm gonna guess Carahan didn't tell his friends to vote for Dan this go around either. But
right.
So then we have Judge Justice Draper against Matt Dexter. Matt's a nice guy. Judge Draper had super crazy tight margins right off the beginning, and I was worried about her, but she ultimately gained some distance and.
Great judge on the law.
Office, but he was a police officer. He was with HPD for quite a while.
He was, and he had been at the DA's office for a while, but now I think he practices more juvenile.
You got a legal issue, go to Judge Draper. She'll listen.
She's very, very well informed on all aspects of the criminal law.
Then we had Judge Rodriguez prevailed against Lance Long.
Hey, Rodriguez.
Lance is a friend as well, but Judge Rodriguez is just also one of the nicest human beings that you could ever meet a very, very popular judge there. Lance was not somebody that was put forward by the DA's office. He's definitely not a Kim Ogg fan, but
he's old school, isn't he? Is he still at the?
Yeah,
he left.
So he was one of the people that Kim Ogg axed on the way in, and he has been doing special prosecution gigs ever since. Then you had Jarrell Rogers in an open bench because Jarrell knocked off Judge David Singer in the primary, but then he was defeated by Jessica Padilla, also known as Jessica Needham.
Everybody hates on her, man. Why?
No.
Why? Why do people hate on her?
I don't hate on her.
Not you, but everybody's like, she's Padilla. I like her. She's a good. I think she's gonna do great.
Great person. She's a lovely human being. I've never seen any backlash on her.
Oh man, maybe it's just because I'm, maybe all my Mexican friends are like, Padilla, Nina,
I love Jarrell to death. This was one where I had friends running against each other, but
Jarrell ran a really good campaign, and quite frankly, I thought with the amount of work he was putting in,
he really did.
Yeah, like I thought that would have been fine, especially with. So why? Which we'll get into. Let's continue on the county courts. Before we.
Just kind of wrapping it up. We had Judge Tanya Jones.
Well, but hang on a second. Padilla and Rogers, they both are currently or as of Monday employees of the Harris County DA's office.
No. Jarrell is. But no, Jessica's been a defense attorney forever.
Yeah.
Forever, for a long time. I was her chief when she started at the office.
I'm not saying anything bad about Jessica at all, or anything good about Jarrell. But the voters need to understand that Kim Ogg, who's a Democrat, who's I guess the most powerful Democrat in Harris County, other than Leon Hidalgo, most powerful law enforcement agent in Harris County, she decided to run someone internally against Judge Singer, who had an efficient docket, never missed court one time, ran trials during COVID. She ran somebody against him, and that person lost, and now the Republicans took that bench. So Democrats need to remember that when Kim Ogg is running for re-election next time.
I think Democrats have a lot. Democrats have a lot to remember about Kim Ogg next time, and I'm pretty sure they will. Wrapping up Court 15, Judge Tanya Jones was running against Xavier Alfaro.
That's an interesting matchup.
That was rough for me, bro.
But I mean, selfishly, I'm glad he's staying in Fort Bend because he's so great. I mean, he's a great guy.
And Judge Jones, I want Judge Jones.
I love her too.
I want him right where he is. Like that was a.
I'm glad.
It's the same thing with the 230th, right?
I'm glad.
I don't know where I want Brad Hart.
I'm glad Judge Jones won that bench. He's an amazing judge.
Yeah.
But Xavier, I mean, I'm kind of happy to see Xavier Alfaro still in Fort Bend. I am.
He's just a great guy to be able to go to up there, and I didn't see him campaign at all.
No, at all. I didn't see any.
And I think a lot of these people kind of agreed to run as a Republican, kind of with the understanding that they thought they were going, like at least starting off, I think they thought they were going to get slaughtered. And then it ended up with the Mueller race and with the pushback on the judges, it actually became a lot more competitive than they realized. I mean, we joke about Nathan Moss and the, a little more jail. But I mean, if you know Nathan and you know how sarcastic and funny he is, I could see him, just doing that because he thought it was just so dumb that it was funny.
Great chief, great prosecutor, him and his wife, amazing, fair. I mean, awesome advocates.
He's my neighbor.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want him to egg my house, so.
Take your front yard.
Where are we at?
So, yeah. All right. So we're at 8:30, and perfect time to transfer over to the district court race.
District court. We're at 8:30. Phones open 713-807-1794. Twitter at HCLA_org. Okay, where are we starting?
So I think we already talked about Judge Deshaun Jones, who we need to stay tuned to that one.
Yes.
If I were a betting man, I would bet on him actually ending up prevailing on that one. That would be my guess.
Man, seriously, what is Wayne Dolcefino? Is he like feeling worse than Trump right now?
One could hope. Hopefully, maybe he and Randy Wallace can go away.
Yeah.
But so
I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I could have ended that sentence.
They can go to
differently.
I don't know.
Let them go to Florida.
Yeah.
Florida be a great place for him.
182nd, you had Danny Lacayo.
We thought he lost for a second, I thought.
Yeah.
No,
there was a minute. There was a minute.
No, Danny had great margins from the start. But there's a lot to learn from this race for two reasons. Number one, apparently Kim Ogg had run out of volunteer prosecutors, so she pulled from her investigator pool to run against him. So this guy was a DA investigator. So that's the first part, that when Kim's like, I didn't run anybody against him, give me a break. Yeah, you did. You even ran investigators against really good judges. Second thing about it was that Robert Jackson killed it in the HBA poll. He doesn't even practice law. He's an investigator. And you had the Houston Bar Association, which if you're a prosecutor, you get a complimentary membership to, courtesy of the office. And it's a very Republican leaning one. They're like,
he's the best lawyer. Yeah.
He doesn't practice law, but he's got to be better than this Lacayo guy with a D.
Oh my God!
I mean, if you had to look and be like, if there's any better evidence that the HBA bar poll may not be your best guide in picking a good judge, I give you the 182nd.
Right? Didn't they judge his judicial efficiency and things as someone who's never been a judge?
The
categories on there are ridiculous.
It was absurd. So then we moved to the 183rd, which was we had Jamal Haynes defeating incumbent judge Chuck Silverman in the primary, but then all of a sudden we see a blast from the past with Kristen Guinea winning a return to a bench.
Big win.
And Guinea was, for those of us that know, we all know that Guinea was a super, super popular judge. Mm-hmm. She lost with the tide of sweeps. It was never anything personal. Everybody loved her on the bench. This is actually going to be her third bench now.
District court.
I was joking. I said, 50 years in the future, they're going to return to the CJC, and her portrait is going to hang in every courtroom. And
Guinea is another one.
Everything
Guinea's going to be there. One of the other ones in 30 years from now, she's going to be hanging up there, and her legacy will speak for itself. She's
also whip smart. It's a shame that we had to pick between her and Jamal. I mean, it's almost like a 2/30th race, but she's great.
That's tough,
great.
Man.
I really wanted to see Jamal on the bench.
I did too, but my heart was torn because I know Judge Guinea is such a great judge. She's just a great judge, and I'm excited about it. I know she's gonna use her, mental acumen to just really kill it on the bench. I think she's gonna be great. I have some stuff coming up on her again in her court, so I'm excited about it.
She's a known quantity because we dealt with her. So 184th, we had Kat Thomas, who I love Kat. She has told me she was not put up to run by Kim Ogg, but run she did, and she ran a very well-financed, a very good, a very hard campaign. She knocked off Abigail Anastasio in the primary, the Democratic primary. And so this was technically open, and she defeated Lori D'Angelo.
I thought Lori was a very good candidate. I mean, she for a second I thought.
I don't disagree.
I think we lost.
We last saw Lori running for DA. Lori ran for DA against Kim Ogg 2 years ago. So,
I remember that. She came on the show.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll see her back again, maybe running for some benches
I think Lori would have been a great judge. Kat,
as a Republican, she didn't make. She lost to Mary Ann Huffman in the.
That's right.
Republican primary.
Kat is. I'm looking forward. Kat. Yeah, I'm looking. I mean, she's going to be up there. She's going to. I think she's going to be able to adjust well. Luckily, that she's given a docket that's good, And so I think she's going to...
This is the lightest docket in the courthouse, right?
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily lightest. It's still heavy, but I think she's going to be able to do good things with it. And it was in a real good trust, and it's getting handed over to Kat, and she's well capable, and I look forward to seeing what she's
ran
gonna do.
Against a judge who had the slimmed down, most efficient docket in that courthouse.
I always wonder how they picked that.
So that means
bench.
That she must have decided that she has a better way to do things than Judge Anastasio. So she's got some big shoes to fill. I do think that my experience with her are more limited than y'all's. She's definitely someone who has that ability. She has the intelligence and the acumen to do it, but she took that away from a very, very qualified judge who was actually proving herself to be very good on the bench, and surprised some people with that.
Rob Fickman, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Fickman joined the show.
Off his deathbed. I heard. I heard that you were not feeling well. You feeling better, Rob?
Yeah, thanks. I've been sick for 7 days.
I didn't know.
And then the only thing that made me feel better was the election results.
Well, come on in, man. We're talking about 184 right now.
I'm just going to listen in for a minute.
Judges might be seeing.
Yeah. So moving on to the 185th, we did have Andy Beal. We talked about her defeating Chris Carmona. Chris Carmona is not a guy that does a lot of criminal law that I'm aware of. He ran for county attorney a couple of years ago and didn't succeed. I'm not a fan of folks that don't do criminal law running for criminal benches. Like I think Rob has said, it's not a good place to practice. You're either in or you're out. But so that one was not. Andy worked hard. She won. She defeated Jason Long in the primaries, and now she's taking over the 185th.
I don't know.
Do you think Josue stays as coordinator?
I'm thinking not.
No. Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking not.
Either he doesn't get married or Josue stays.
Oh gosh, always about the gossip.
Okay.
Always about the gossip.
Yeah. So
not gossip. Her husband, a federal AUSA, went to a campaign event and heckled a staff member of the court.
Look! I heard it. I don't. Josue is an amazing human and an incredible coordinator.
He didn't deserve any of that crap.
Well, gosh.
All right.
I hope she at least apologizes.
Let's get. If you want to talk about Ted Cruz and the White Claw, we got to move through the rest of these, Justin.
Yeah. Hey, Andy Beal's going to be an amazing judge.
I'm burning time.
Andy's going to kick some butt on the benches, and her court's going to be tough, expert level tough. You better know your stuff if you're going to go up against Judge Beal.
All right, 208.
No one should be going up against Judge Beal except for 4 more years from now.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yes, next.
2/8, Beverly Armstrong and Heather Hudson. Heather Hudson is a prosecutor, but an appellate. I don't know her. But she ran against Beverly Armstrong, who apparently had been first assistant, I think, in Polk County or San Jacinto. Apparently Polk County and San Jacinto just invaded Harris this time. She was also in Galveston. I don't know either one of them, which was weird for me to have a judicial criminal race where I didn't know either party. But I have heard good things about her.
Which bench is this for?
208.
Is that
Armstrong beat Glass?
Judge Glass?
Yeah.
I've seen soon to be Judge Armstrong around.
I don't even know Beverly.
Yeah. All right, 209th, Brian Warren had no problem knocking off Kevin Fulton. Kevin Fulton was not a criminal lawyer, one of those guys on the state bar that listed everything but criminal for what he did. 228th, you had Frank Aguilar. I thought that Frank might have a little more trouble because he's just not a not a dynamic guy. He's quiet.
The man doesn't win. He just won,
prevailed over Andy Taylor. And then we get to
he kind of killed that one by 30,000 votes.
Yeah. Chris Morton handled up on Brad Hart pretty easily. I think we all like both guys.
Yeah.
I'll never forget on this show we had Brad Hart and Judge Morton. At that point, Judge Hart and Chris Morton. And I said something like, "All right, final words, guys." And Brad Hart said, at that point, Judge Hart said something real like, "Well, we'll see what happens," and I'm Batman. And then now Judge Morton says, yeah, well, we'll see about that when I take your bench. It was, and I just went, oh, snap.
It was great.
Well, they actually are.
There are no other courtrooms in that building that I can think of that have like any kind of superhero motif. But when Brad Hart was in there, it was Batman. And now that Judge Morton is in there, it's Captain America.
Yeah.
Have y'all noticed that? I don't know.
It's awesome.
It's
those two. Like,
it's a Marvel DC thing. I'm a Marvel guy myself, but
I'm Marvel as well. DC sucks.
But Chris is a really good friend of mine. And he said nothing but nice things about Brad, that it's been a very collegial run against each other, and they've agreed to basically just do it again until one of them dies from every
It's arch enemy stuff. That's so great. It's like it's Batman versus Captain America, man. It's just that stuff's awesome.
But there's 22 other benches that they can compete for. I got a list of like 21 other ones that Judge Hart could run for.
Yeah. I know. Like, a lot of these candidates, it's where were you 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, Josh Hill had no problem dispatching Joshua Norman, who I don't know.
Don't know that one.
He's a tax lawyer, it said, which, those guys are fun at parties.
He would have been great.
Yeah.
He would have been great talking to like 404 evidence about. That would have been awesome.
He would have counted it as a deduction. So 248th, Judge Unger defeated Julian Ramirez.
Where is Julian these days?
He can't bring himself to be a defense attorney, so he's like he's looking for special prosecution gigs where they come. I got a personal beef with Julian, so I'm not the best person to talk to. I was very glad to see that.
I would commend Hillary because she was attacked nationally by Fox. She was one of the judges that was attacked when they were going after Harris County judges and just sort of randomly picking some to pick on about PR bonds and things like that. And she received a lot of really horrendous phone calls and threats, and she stood up to that. She did a good job. I think she's a fair judge. I don't know why Julian decided to go after her, but Julian's never shown himself, like you said, willing to look at both sides. And I have a kind of a personal deal with Julian as well, and I always got along with him. He's a very personable guy, but I don't think he can see both sides. That's just
I agree.
I remember begging him for some 17-year-old ATV. He tried felony evading, and he was just driving down the canal of some sort. Never been in trouble before. I've never worked so hard to get anything, like for a kid, and no, Julian just stuck his ground and said, no, well, too bad, no, so sad. I don't think he can see both sides either. I don't think he can.
Now he doesn't have to. 262nd, Judge Lori Gray prevailing over Tanya McLaughlin. I don't know Judge Gray very well. I love Tanya. She's one of the nicest human beings ever.
I've heard good things about her.
I hope to see her run again in 2 years against somebody else.
Judge Gray is a very good judge.
She's been great.
Extremely fair.
I just haven't been in front of her a lot. She's very, very quiet. 263rd, we had Melissa Morris, who knocked off Judge Amy Martin in the primary, running against prosecutor Amber Cox, and she won big.
Was it a big win?
Before I came on, Murray, did y'all talk about how some of these people that were running for judge and some of the people that just got elected judge were handpicked by the district attorney's office? Did y'all cover that?
We're going through it. We're taking tallies.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure the public knows that
another
the district attorney's office tried to manipulate and did successfully manipulate the judiciary to a degree.
What we were talking about earlier, Rob, is that, at least in the case of Court 14, Judge Kim Ogg decided to run one of her own assistant district attorneys against David Singer, a Democrat, in the primary. And Kim Ogg caused a Democrat to unseat a Democrat, and then that Democrat lost the bench. So the Democrats lost a bench in Harris County due to the most powerful Democrat in the county, other than the county judge, District Attorney Kim Ogg. And I hope Murray's right that in 2 years the voters remember Kim Ogg and where she has been in this
they
election.
will.
Melissa Morris, good. Talk to us about her.
You know, I know her in passing. She's always been very nice to me. Longtime defense attorney. Ran a very active campaign. Got out there, hit the trail, worked for it, and succeeded. So that's great. I like Amber as a person. I probably knew Amber better than I know Melissa, but Melissa, I got nothing negative to say about either.
Where's
one.
Amber? I think isn't Amber on? Where's she at now in the office? Like in
Ritz? Is she in child abuse?
Ritz?
Or she in Ritz? Yeah, she is. I never know. It's like a shell game. Like find the prosecutor. What court are they in? You know.
She was holding her own in the 351st for a while as a chief in there.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
So where else we got?
In the Ritz.
So wrapping it up, we have my dear friend Veronica Nelson beat the one Republican that had been there, which was Maritza Antu. She wasn't necessarily an incumbent because she'd been appointed, to when the court was created, and Veronica ran against her, and Veronica won. I also have a personal beef with Maritza, which is a weird one, which I won't go into at the moment. But I was ecstatic for my friend Veronica.
Can you tell us about Veronica? Because I don't know anything about her.
So Veronica is
very smart.
Number one, she's a sports legend. She's actually in the University of California Hall of Fame as a catcher. In softball. I met her when she was a felony 3. I tried a case against her. It was an incredibly grueling, brutal counterfeiting of CD's case. And I got to try this case that her chief was totally making her try. And she was so above board. She was so great to deal with. And it was such a dumb case that we were both laughing that it was even having to be tried. The guy, it turned out well for me. He tends to be a frequent flyer at the courthouse, and every time we run into each other, we take our picture and send it to Veronica. And she's got a good sense of humor about that. But over the past several years, since leaving the DA's office, she has been the attorney advisor to the misdemeanor judges, to answer your question, Rob.
Mario Madrid and I tried a murder against her maybe 8 years ago.
Yeah,
hell of a prosecutor, man, and
she's got so much integrity. She's a wonderful person.
What I was concerned about in that race, the one thing that I'm concerned, well, I don't know, man. The one thing I'm concerned about on that bench is she went from prosecutor to where she killed it, where she was freaking awesome, hitting home runs in the courtroom. Then she went to the judge's advocate, and I never got it. When they called Veronica, I almost I want to say I lost 10 out of 10 times when they call Veronica. And I don't know. I mean, I'm
with Maritza, I had a bond revocation hearing where the state forgot to subpoena their witnesses and she revoked them anyway.
Fair enough.
So I'm just I've been told I can do this and I'm going to just help them out. So I am not sad. I am not sad at all for the 482nd.
All right, next court.
That's it, man. We've run out of courts.
Oh, man.
We've run out of courts. We've got another 4 years with Marilyn Burgess. Yay.
Oh.
Man, did you get that last campaign email from her?
No,
I think the morning of Tuesday.
I think she took me off of her mailing list.
Okay, we got 8 minutes left. Let's spend 2-3 minutes wrapping up the final thoughts on the elections.
I think that's it, man. I want to talk some White Claw. I want to talk some Ted Cruz and White Claw.
Somebody set it up.
I had a judge text me that they feel somewhat like emboldened or more confident about their position with the county, and I think they all should. Okay, they have all been. You can see it, especially in the county courts, where they're worried about the safety of the community and balancing defendants' rights with those. You can see it in the judges, and they make the right call, what the law says, and they were getting beat up by that, by Fox, local Fox affiliates, victims advocacy groups, Houston Police Officers Union, the Republican Party, and they persevered through it because the voters saw through the BS, or at least said, we don't want to go back to the way things were. So all the judges that won, congratulations. The Republicans, Democrats alike, like just keep acting right and following the law. That's what you're going to swear to do on December 31st or January 1st, whenever y'all get around.
One of the conspiracy theory that's going out there. Look, all of the dams that have obviously African American or black names, Jarrell, Jamal, Ranisha, all of them lost. I don't know, man.
Remember in 2008 when Makisha Walker, who is white, was the one person to not win her bench.
Well, guess what? We live in a racist society. So, newsflash.
Right.
Can I say two things?
Yes.
Yeah.
On our judges, they continue to do, even though they're Democrats, they continue to do the same bad things that the Republicans did. And they continue to make people come down to court, some of them, not all of them, unnecessarily. There's a huge line out in front of the courthouse today. I've been sick. I saw a picture of it. It's the same thing day after day where they're making people come down for no reason just to get a reset to wear them out. That needs to stop. I don't care if they got a D next to their name or an R. The other thing is, and I was talking to Murray earlier in the week on this, and we're going to go after this, is that the indigent defendants that are not able to make bond, some of them are being held as far away as, where's that place? Port, Texas, Post, Texas.
Post, Texas,
in far west Texas, a 7-hour drive. Now, I don't know how anybody's supposed to provide effective assistance, but the county needs to change that. Otherwise, we're going to be visiting the county, and I expect we're going to be visiting the county.
I think that's a topic for a whole show.
I know. I'm just bringing it up.
Let's do it. Let's have that show.
To be continued. I got to go. Thanks, guys.
Murray, what do you think? Thanks, Rob. Murray, what do you think? 42nd ever going to see Zoom inside that courtroom now?
482nd?
Yeah.
Oh, with Judge Veronica? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we got 5 minutes.
Waved.
All right, five minutes.
Right.
We got to talk White Claw.
How deadly is a can?
So, Rob, we were talking before the show started that it's been revealed that what the 2 cans of alcohol that were thrown at Ted Cruz were White Claws, which I think are a defense. I think that, like, if you slow it down, you could see Ted Cruz clearly about to catch a drink from a fan,
right?
And then he's like, "White Claw, no!"
Right,
dodging out of the way.
He thought it was a beer.
Yeah, and then that possibility. They're saying that both cans were full, so now I think that someone found the half-drunk beer and swapped out their White Claw with it and said, "Here you go, officer. I'm pretty sure this is what that was."
Was Ted Cruz on the thug float?
Yeah, I don't know, but I think why
is he on any float?
It was like him and all of his family. Why
are any of those people on any float? What did they have to do with winning the World Series?
I think that they need to have Ted Cruz, Dan Patrick, and Kim Ogg in a game show on who can not read a room the worst. Right. Like
who shows up without invite?
I saw a picture of Kim Ogg, like there are all these fans, and she's in front of them, like she literally thinks they're there for her.
No,
and they're like, "Could you move, lady? We're trying to see some real people. We like,
who are you?
Yeah.
What did they have to? The only thing that Cruz had to do with the World Series is that when I saw his face on there, I thought for sure he was going to jinx us,
Yes.
That was the fear there, and he didn't jinx us at least, but they had no business being there.
Well, we do need to talk to Bill Stradley about our different defenses with this White Claw. I think this is a game changer. You rewind it like the Zapruder film. You see him grab back into the left, back into the left.
Is there a grassy knoll?
Oh God.
Yeah. So
there were 2 throwers. There were 2 throwers that day.
So
there had to be.
It ends up in court.
What do you do? This is on video. It's aggravated assault with
you do the necessity defense. The guy's like, somebody handed me a White Claw. I had to get rid of it, like immediately,
So Judge Long finds no PC. It was
definitely not a good advertisement for White Claw.
Are they going to take this to the grand jury? I thought that's what's happening. No.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, we were talking about Judge Long not finding probable cause, and I'm like, on the one hand, like he should have ended it, but on the other hand, he's like, no, Kim, let's see how this plays out.
Yeah,
like,
10-day trial,
10 days, come dance with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're not going to want to mess with that case. I mean, you just set that thing for trial. I would just set that thing for trial.
I would set absolutely.
Like, just identify the person that threw it at you. Like, and then this was the deadly weapon. You felt in fear of imminent bodily injury.
Said it was a deadly weapon?
Yes.
Yeah.
White Claw.
Yes.
White Claw.
Look at the manner and means.
Have they ever been to a high school football game?
To wit, a full can, an unopened can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a deadly weapon.
And
they wouldn't even.
He deflected. I don't see any fear of imminent bodily injury or death.
He said the guy had an arm like a noodle. See, like Ted Cruz trying to be funny. Right. He's like, aha, she goes, you went to jail and I was never put in fear. Oh, wait.
Right.
I mean, yes, I was terrified.
Deadly weapon. That's absurd.
I've seen a frozen chicken played as a deadly weapon.
I've seen a hairbrush.
We've seen worse.
I've seen a pillow.
Seen worse. I had a attempted murder with a child's plastic. It was filed with a child's plastic shovel that you would like having like cheapo fail. That was a John Denholm special.
Where is John Denholm, anyways?
He's fired. Who cares? So, also not a fan. In case you didn't pick up on that.
You were so subtle, I missed it.
Yeah.
Hey, look, we got a minute. We have a minute. We have a minute. Justin, final comments, and pass it to Murray and then Rob.
I just, I didn't know what to think when I went to bed on Tuesday morning. When I woke up at 6 on Wednesday and I was scrolling through, I was very happy and very relieved that Harris County voters didn't fall for the BS on the sides of big trucks and billboards, and that a mattress salesman is trying to pass off on as facts in Harris County. So judges have been doing a good job. Keep it up. The new ones coming in. You got big shoes to fill. Anybody wants to come talk about any of the jobs they've had or are about to take on, reasonable doubt will always give you a place to talk about.
Hey, we're going to start our own poll too. Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association. We're going to start our own poll. Yeah. Just wait in 2 years.
Not endorsing any candidates, but just seeing what our members feel about the judiciary.
A membership review of the judges.
Yeah, and we're going to print a little pamphlet.
That'd be good.
Yeah. Right? I think that's perfectly good. I don't know what
before, is it,
Well, I think we did a long time ago. We used to have something, but, it was mostly pretty negative.
We're like the Democrats in the criminal justice system. We're not known for being organized and on top of stuff. So, except for our own trials.
I would add that I'm glad that the public did not fall for the false ads that were put on throughout the series, misleading people about the criminal justice system, and that was the fault of all these good judges when it's not. That was, and I'm glad, frankly, that woman that was running for county commissioner lost, because I don't think you ought to be able to buy a seat on commissioner's court with money from rich West Texans, which apparently was part of her donations. And the Chronicle endorsed her. Then they asked her
I'm getting the signal from Mark, Houston Media Source. Mark Purtle in the booth telling us we got to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Well,
Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association. Thanks. Houston Media Source. We out.
All right. We'll see y'all.
Thank y'all.
Ah.